Hi guys, and welcome to this video on the new moon in Cancer that happens on the 5th of July 2024. The chart you see next to me here, that's a snapshot of the sky at the moment this new moon will take place. I'm going to analyze the chart to see how the planets interact and how they'll influence us. And then I'll go through each sign of the zodiac, Aries to Pisces, to give you a specific message for your sun sign. So I'm in the UK. This happens at 3 minutes before midnight in my time zone. So I find that very satisfying in itself because the new moon is pitch black. So at 11:57 in the evening, if you're in North or South America, it happens earlier in the evening on the 5th of July. But if you're in Central Europe, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, it happens later on in the day on the 6th of July. But I always mention with new moons and full moons not to get too hung up on the timings because it's a 3-day process. Regardless of where you are, you'll feel this on the 4th, 5th, and 6th of July. So with a new moon, I was thinking before I came on here that it's very different to a full moon, obviously. The full moon is about being outward looking, right? The full moon gets to this completion point in its 28-day cycle and it says, hooray, I've made it. Now I can let go of all of these energies, and then we feel it quite strongly. The new moon is the opposite. It's inward looking. So how can I gather energy? How can I get my bearings? And how can I then use all of this additional energy that I've acquired to plant certain seeds of intention, and how do I want to watch those grow? So it's what direction do I want to move in? How can I use this next 28-day cycle to really accomplish something that's important to me that I don't have in my life already? And how can I get going with that? So it's kind of thinking before you act, and before you gallop off in a direction, you're kind of saying, okay, but is this direction good for me? And is this really where I want to be going? So it's the opportunity to really make some big decisions about what comes next. And also with the new moon, if you have this in your birth chart, by the way, it gives you this lifelong quality that you're a pioneer, that you think outside of the box, that you're not meant to conform, you're meant to lead, and you're meant to innovate and to influence other people. So for all of us here during this new moon, we have this same ability to say, okay, how do I think, what do I think about this situation, regardless of what other people are thinking? What is my conclusion that I've come to? And we've got the sun and the moon at 14 degrees, so they're conjunct, and they're both in Cancer here. So the sun is really what you're striving towards on a conscious level. It's what gives you a sense of empowerment and joy and a feeling that, hey, I'm in control of what happens and I'm taking care of the inner child, right? The moon is like your heart. It's what's going on internally, what makes you feel like you're home, like you're safe, supported, and loved. So the two have great clarity here during a new moon because your heart and your head are speaking to each other very, very well. And at 14 degrees, 1 and 4 is 5. In numerology, that's freedom. And Cancer is the 4th sign of the zodiac that's often associated with the home, with the family, and even with the parent, the person who provides spiritual counsel and emotional support, and even meets other people's physical needs like food and housing. And here the message I get is the new moon is really reminding you that you have the freedom to choose what you engage with and what you don't. That you have permission to free yourself of circumstances, situations, relationships that served you in the past but no longer do. And you also have a future ahead of you where you get to choose who and what you love, and how you use all of this wonderful energy, and whether the recipient, whether that makes a difference or whether it's worth your time and effort. So this is great if you feel like you have zero options as far as certain relationships are concerned, or your living situation, as in this is the way it just has to be, I don't have a choice. This new moon is the opposite. It's saying it's right and good for you to choose the things that you have in your life, and it's not good to just be on the receiving end of someone else's plans or agenda or what they think is good and amazing. It's about what you think is good and amazing. We also then have Venus sitting next to the new moon, and Venus is the planet of love and beauty and creativity, and it's at 23 degrees in Cancer, so we've got another 5. So you have the freedom to love whoever it is you want to love, and to express yourself in whatever way you think is right and proper. So this is really like the universal spiritual parent coming down and saying, hey, this is your life. You get to choose what you want to do with it. It's no one else's, right? So anyone, again, who feels like they've lost their confidence or they're in a situation where they really don't have any options, this one reminds you that, yes, you do. And second of all, it gives you that sense of being supported by the higher realms, like you have a spiritual mentor who you can speak to as well for guidance and support, rather than just reading books or speaking to other people. And in my experience, that kind of, connecting to source or your guides, whatever you want to call it, you can even call it the Akashic Records, it's a presence that really has your best interest at heart, and it thinks in a way that no other person could. So it's a good person to speak to, a good person, a good energy to connect with, because it has answers that things on this planet, they may not be able to provide you with those answers. Okay, so also with the pioneering energy and both Venus and this new moon sitting together, it's also a prompt. What are you going to create over the next 28-day period? As in, what are you going to write or paint or design? But also, what is it that you're innovating for your future, not just for the next 28 days, but for the next few months and years ahead? And make sure that you move in a direction that is about feeling supported and like life loves you in return, rather than tolerating situations which you've really outgrown or you feel apathetic towards or even negatively towards. Okay, so we've got a lot of aspect patterns here. If you look into the middle of the wheel, we've got the new moon forming an opposition with the midheaven in Capricorn at 9 degrees. So again, amend your circumstances so that you're working and you're in an environment that feels right for you, like it's a good fit, and let go of the things that are no longer a good fit. We then have the new moon forming a square with the north node at 10 degrees in Aries. And that says this is an opportunity to become more self-reliant, to have more independence in your life, and to make decisions solo. You don't need anyone else to do it for you or to give you permission to decide. We then have the new moon in Cancer also forming a trine with Saturn at 19 degrees in Pisces. Saturn is security and structure, and it's like a concrete slab. It's something you can build a house on. It's a really reliable foundation. At 19 degrees in Pisces, 1 and 9 is 10. So again, it's the same energy as the new moon. You're the pioneer. You're the person who gets to go in a particular direction. You get to give life to things you care about. And it's in Pisces. So it's this inner sense that the future is whatever I make it. So let's design it right now and ensure that it's something I'm excited to move towards. We also have Neptune nearby, and Venus is the personal planet of love and beauty and creativity. I often think of Venus in astrology as the Empress in the Tarot. It's how can I take my loving energy and spill it out into the world so it becomes more beautiful. And that trines Neptune at 29 degrees in Pisces. So if Venus is the personal planet of love, then Neptune is the outer planet of love on a much larger scale, love for humanity and connection of the self to other things that are bigger, that exist in the world, but also on the spiritual planes. And at 29 degrees, so 11, master number of service in Pisces, it really says, use your imagination to design circumstances in your future that you are just massively excited about. So your imagination is there to serve you. Create the mental image or visualize what it is you would like to experience or you would like to build in future, and it will happen. So it's saying your dreams are meant to be realized. But even more so, if you don't have a dream, if you have felt a little lost, or you're just like going through the motions, or you've even lost the sense that, hey, things can get better and turn around and be amazing, then the connection of Venus and Neptune, it says, here you go. If you don't have a particular direction to move in, or you don't have a dream, here is one. Try it out. See where that leads you. So it's really about almost taking personal accountability for your happiness and saying, I can make this for myself, and even more so, it's down to me to create these wonderful circumstances in my future, and it's certainly very doable. Okay, what else have we got? We've got Venus then forming, and I'm counting Venus because it is, let's see, 6 and 3, it's 9 degrees away from the new moon in Cancer. So with conjunctions, I use 10-degree orbs. So anything that is within 10 degrees of each other, I look at as a conjunction. That means they all blend their energy together. So it's, how do you love yourself to create more freedom in your life? So Venus then, it semi-squares Jupiter at 9 degrees in Gemini. So Jupiter is about growth fundamentally. It's good fortune, it's expansiveness, it's what do I want to inflate like a balloon, right? And at 9 degrees in Gemini, as far as I'm concerned, that makes it easier for you to connect to the higher realms and to receive guidance. But also it gives you the confidence to say there are solutions to every problem and you don't need to accept anything. So keep going and keep looking at things in the sense of, how can I get out of this? Or how can I bring more of it into my life? The choice is yours. Jupiter then semi-squares the rising, the ascendant, in Aries, also at 23 degrees. So Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. I've got the whole day ahead of me at sunrise. How am I going to use all my amazing energy to fill this day with amazing things? And what am I going to build? What am I going to move towards? And at 23 degrees, we've got another 5, right? So everything about this is to not just become freer, but to become more, I was going to say strict, but I mean how to grab onto this sense of life is what I make it. And nothing is too big. There's no mountain that I can't climb. It's really this youthful optimism that I can manifest whatever it is I like. So this new moon in Cancer, I really think is good for anyone who's heartbroken or who's kind of thrown in the towel, even who has given up. It's a message that we can always try again. And as long as we're around, the future is what we make it, which is kind of interesting because a lot of people feel that certain things are just destined and there's a plan for your life and you have very little control of that. And this new moon isn't negating that, but it's also saying you can also write your own destiny and you get to decide what this is all about. That's super liberating as well. Okay, so then we have Venus forms a sextile with Uranus at 25 degrees in Taurus and Mars at 19 degrees in Taurus. Those two together is kind of interesting to me. Mars is ambition and what I want. At 19 degrees in Taurus, it's my decision, my ambitions, right? And how am I going to build them? But Uranus at 25 degrees in Taurus, to me, kind of says my ambition is to shake things up and to throw everything up in the air. And rather than seeing where it lands, I'm only going to catch the things that I want to land. So that is very brave in the sense of I accept that things are temporary. They don't have to stay the same. And if anything, things not changing is unnatural in a way. It's boring. I want things to change. I want to feel insecure at times because it makes me feel alive. So it's really kind of courageous in saying my circumstances don't define me, I define me, and then my circumstances follow. What else have we got? There are a lot of connections here, so I just want to make sure I don't miss any. So Uranus then, it semi-squares the North Node in Aries, which I've mentioned, and that then squares the new moon again. And this doesn't exist in astrology, I came up with this, but I call that a triangle of disharmony. It's something where there's a lot of friction and it energizes you and it says, I don't feel settled, I've got to do something. So it immediately urges you into action. If you decide this is no longer for me, what am I going to do about it, right? Or this is for me, how can I bring more of it into my life? Okay, then we have, if you look in the middle, we have a major aspect pattern called a grand cross. And a grand cross is this big red square that exists of 4 squares, which is when one thing is 90 degrees away from another, and they all line up to create this one big square. And if you have a grand cross in your chart, it can mean that you do have a lot of energy, but it can be very difficult to come to one decision and to say, this is the direction I'm going. Because a grand cross will push and pull you in lots of different directions. So it can end up that you contemplate all of these things, but you end up doing nothing because you're just overwhelmed. Everything is just as important as the other thing. So it's really difficult to just choose one path and to stick to it. In this case, we've got the first square between the new moon in Cancer and then that north node in Aries, which I already mentioned is very much about how can I parent myself and say, I do have a choice. I am self-reliant. I am independent. I'm the leader of my own experience, right? That north node in Aries then squares the midheaven in Capricorn. So how can I do the legwork? How can I rearrange things in a physical sense, or even throw them in the air like Mars and Uranus say, so that the structures of my life don't just support me, but that I feel like I'm in love with my life as it is on a daily basis. That midheaven in Capricorn then squares the south node at 10 degrees in Libra, and that says, what can I let go of? What no longer serves me in any way, and how can I wave bye-bye to it? And that then squares again the new moon in Cancer. So this grand cross isn't so conflicted, I would say, because the things that make up the grand cross are all things that kind of go hand in hand. So I want to take care of myself by becoming more independent. I want to amend all the structures of my life myself, and at the same time let go of distractions that aren't a positive influence. So I don't think this is particularly difficult. I think it energizes you to take those steps and to say, I'm the boss of my own existence here. Thank you very much. I'm going to be very hands-on and make sure that I create what I want. Let's see some of the other things then. We also have Mercury at 5 degrees in Leo. And Mercury is the communication planet. Another 5, freedom. Leo, I'm free to articulate and to think and to decide whatever I want. So this really is great for people, again, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but if there are codependency issues, right? Or if you're a younger person, like if you're, I don't know, 18 years old and you don't want to disappoint your parents by choosing something that they don't have in mind for you. It's really that difficult process of kind of growing up and saying, you know, you may not be a fan of this, but this is who I am. This is my life. I'm going to live it. Sorry. And that is really important, because that sorry is not that pleasant, right? And it might cause disappointment in the other person who cares for you. Like, you say, I want to be a writer, not a singer, even though you have this amazing voice. The parent who's always loved your voice may be disappointed by that, right? But I'm saying that disappointment is essential if you want to grow into the real you. You can't just make other people happy, unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you look at it. And let's see what else is here. We also have a grand trine. And a grand trine is 3 trines, so things that are 120 degrees away from each other. And there are 3 of them which create a big blue triangle. And that's in a natal chart, a major talent, and usually it exists in one element, either a talent in air, so studying and decision-making, perspective, right? This one is in 2 elements as far as I can tell. So we've got Uranus in Taurus at 25 degrees. That then trines Black Moon Lilith at 0 degrees in Libra, air, and that trines Pluto in Aquarius, and it goes back to Uranus in Taurus. So I'm full of ideas. I have all of these insights, and I'm excited about a future that doesn't exist yet, but I can kind of glimpse in my own mind's eye. And I'm much more willing to replace what is with the new and let go of the old than I usually would be. And particularly, I think, with Black Moon Lilith in Libra, particularly relationships that have expired, basically. And that's an interesting point, because you could argue, you know, if you kind of let go of friendships and people in your life who don't bring you anything positive, right? Then the argument, and let me know what you think, but it could be valid, and the argument could be, well, you know, then you're going to end up as a very lonely person if you let go of all of those people. On the other hand, you could argue, why would I want people in my life who make it more difficult? Wouldn't it be better to be alone then, and to look at making new friendships and new connections and to have new relationships which actually do work? And I don't think I can answer that, and I don't think I should. I think everyone's going to have their own opinion on that. But one is this rolling system where I'm going to create and have this dynamic of bringing positive people in and letting go of what doesn't work. Or the approach is, I'm going to be consistent. These are the people I went to school with, for instance, right? I'm going to be friends with them for life, even if they do get on my nerves or whatever it may be. They're two different approaches, but I think this new moon is very much an opportunity to exit things which you've been very attached to in the past. So whether that's people or ways of being, or yeah, like for instance, if you have an accent, right, and you're 50 years old and you're like, I don't want to talk like this anymore, I want to affect some other accent now. Something like that could be very difficult and uncomfortable, right? But this is the kind of thing where it's like, hey, listen, if it's your dream, do it. So I love this. It's like the focus is on the individual, and the individual gets to create their own experience. Anyway, this grand trine then, this major talent, means that you're less invested in maintaining what is, and you're willing to embrace change instead. And I was going to say that it's a kite because it has two sextiles on top of it, but one doesn't meet the edge pretty much. Mars sextiles Saturn, but it doesn't quite connect with this trine. And then Pluto in Aquarius does sextile Neptune in Pisces. So it's the willingness to think outside of the box, and you couple that with your imagination, and you can really paint a picture of what your ideal life looks like moving forward. But it's not technically a kite. Let's see if there's anything else. So the Grand Cross I mentioned. We've got a ton. You can see all the trines, right, between the new moon and Saturn and Neptune, and even the North Node via Mercury and Leo. There's real correspondence or a dialogue between the universe says that you're safe and that you're settled enough in your life that you can rearrange things. And it's very important for you to give yourself permission to do that, because it's going to build your confidence moving forward. Jupiter I've mentioned. Yeah, I think that's it. Jupiter quincunxes the midheaven in Capricorn. So practical solutions to problems aren't going to be difficult to come by. In terms of the strongest mode of the day, it's cardinal. Cardinal is really the leader, the pioneer, the boss. Makes sense with this new moon and the North Node in Aries. And the strongest element of the day is water. And water is about your ability to connect with other people, with your own imagination, to the higher realms. So it's really, I'm going to allow myself to dream, and then I'm going to practically move towards that dream in future. Okay, so let's look at each sign of the zodiac then. Aries, this new moon for you is a wonderful opportunity to heal your most important relationships and to shake things up when it comes to income, security, and work. Those are the areas that you're going to be most courageous changing. Be cautious around excessive spending though during this new moon. You may get the sense of, oh, I don't feel so great, what would help me? Maybe buying this little trinket at the shop may give me a quick boost. Try and be careful around reckless spending, kind of thing. Taurus, you may want to change things up when it comes to location, routine, your physical health, or even your appearance. You're likely to feel supported and safe in general as far as the way you are kind of positioned in your own life, and that safety will prompt you to make changes. So things are all right, things are ticking along, so it's okay for me to adapt them now. I feel confident about doing that. For you, it's important to be cautious around what you share and with whom. because you may, to you, things may make sense and be crystal clear, but then sharing that with someone who would be totally against it would cause a delay or a problem. Because remember, it's about you making the decision. This is what I want, so I'm going to do it. So you don't really need a lot of input from your detractors, so to speak. Gemini, you may feel like everything's going well when it comes to career and finance. You may want to revisit a painful memory or circumstance from the past, and you may have a desire to make it an issue again. So an ongoing resentment that you may want to focus on. So for instance, if a company wronged you, they overcharged you, and you were going to sue, but you didn't, the resentment may come up and you're like, okay, that's it. I am going to take this to court now. So if that kind of thing occurs to you, just calculate if that would be a worthwhile action in the long run. Even if you won, would it serve you? Or would it just be to get kind of this emotional closure? For you, there is the real opportunity to receive spiritual guidance and answers to those kind of problems specifically. So check in with your guides and see what they say. Should you pick up the resentment again, or should you let it lie, even if you were wronged in earnest? Would it make sense to bring it up again and to be wronged again, for instance? Cancer, this is your new moon, so you may feel like everything in your life is going your way. You're able to experience great things in relationships and in realizing your hopes and dreams during this time. So listen out for information around your money and career, and then create the mental image, how you can run with that, how you can realize the ideal working situation and get really clear on what that is. Leo, you're going to have a strong desire to put yourself in the spotlight. You'll be longing for some attention, for some eyes on you, right? If you have the opportunity to perform or to present or to interview for jobs, or if you're trying to get into a particular university, do it now. On the 4th, 5th, 6th of July, if that's possible, not only are you going to do well in all those areas, you'll enjoy the attention. It's also a good time for you to travel, Leo. Virgo, you may have the experience that things have started to go right again. So things are starting to go as planned, whereas the last few weeks you may have had a sense of, God, everything's against me at the moment. There'll be a big sigh of relief because of that, and you'll feel supported by the universe, by life, and even by other people. If you notice an opportunity for learning, so for instance, a particular course comes up, like on your Instagram feed, or you see an ad or something, it's a good time to expand your skill set and to start again by learning something new. Libra, you may want to heal your romantic relationship, or you may have a desire to get rid of boredom and excessive routine. It's also a great time for you to make a decision around what you want out of your love life, but also how you can rearrange your schedule so that you have more time to do what you love on a day-to-day basis. So for you, it's about fixing your experience and bringing more love into it. Scorpio, you may notice that you become really incensed about a particular cause. So for instance, when I moved here, I became aware of an issue and I've joined Surface Against Sewage. That kind of thing. You may find that you discover a new cause that you hadn't planned on discovering. Also, anything that allows you to stand up for yourself or to use your voice to affect change, any of those things will work well for you. And also, Scorpio, for you, and do this in private, ideally, it may be a good idea to have a discussion with yourself. So what is it that I want? Like asking yourself that directly. Well, actually, I would like to live in Costa Rica or whatever it may be. Look at what your inner self responds to really big, important questions, and then trust that. Sagittarius, you'll want to change your existing social network, and you'll have a desire to make that bigger and to bring more people into it. There may also be a desire to heal your love life, similar to Libra. And for you, Sagittarius, specifically if you're dissatisfied in the area of love, it's a great moment to get clear on what you want out of that area of your life and how you can manifest it. So I haven't been, certain about what I want. I've decided I want to be single for the time being, and that's it. Or I want to be in a relationship. You may think, okay, great, like that takes me seconds to figure out. But, if you haven't been certain around how, if you've healed or what your desire is in that area, you'll be able to figure it out here. Capricorn, you'll be feeling confident when it comes to your life as it is on paper, right? So your work, your taxes, your housing, all of those things. You'll want to shake things up when it comes to very close relationships in your life. And you may even want to reconcile with someone you've fallen out with or lost contact with. It's a good idea to do that if it occurs to you. The outcome is likely to be in your favor. So you can put the pieces back together again if you want. Aquarius, you may come across this during this 3-day period as a little too direct and overly confident, and that could get other people's backs up a bit. Like, who's that? Who do they think they are? You're full of ideas and you're full of creativity at this time. So a good way to use that energy is to write your book or to paint the picture or to design your future, whatever it may be, rather than waste your energy with other people going, oh, he's overly confident and, let's make an issue out of that. So as much as you can actually get done for yourself, the better. Pisces, you have the opportunity to heal your finances in some way. So renegotiating your salary or looking for other work, looking at your outgoings, cancelling certain direct debits, right? You'll be able to do all of that. You're also able to create wonderful memories when it comes to your love life. And the success in those two areas, either managing your finances or having these wonderful experiences in love, they'll spill over into each other and give you confidence to do even more in each area. So that's what I got for you guys here during this new moon in Cancer. If you'd like me to look at your birth chart, your natal chart, I just need your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. And even if you don't have the time of birth, there's a process called chart rectification where I can work it out. I just need 10 significant life events, so things that have happened to you. Like I went to university and I quit early. It had a big impact on my life. Those kind of things, I can then work out your time of birth manually if you don't have it. And once I've got those details, I draw up your chart the same way as it is next to me here, or has been earlier in the video. And then I can really see what your default setting is, what your ideal careers would be. So vocational aptitudes, life purpose, relationships, finance, travel, education, anything at all. I also look at what's coming up in future by looking at your progress charts and your transit. And if there's anything around location and moving, I use the astrocartography, which really gives me specific insight into what places in the world would work for you specifically. So if you would like me to look at your natal chart, please do get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. When you get to the website, just scroll down a bit until you get to the button that says book your reading. Click on that to order your reading with me. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, please, and subscribe for more videos. Please share it online. Check out some of my other videos. I also do a weekly horoscope. And I also do a daily tarot reading. So if you want to watch that, then please consider becoming a member of my channel. It's very doable. So if you do want to watch that, please join the membership. That'd be awesome. So I hope you have a wonderful time here during this new moon, and I will speak to you soon. All the best. Take care.